We have our guests, Ben Canary, scientist and chef founder. Chief founder or chef founder?
Chef. He's a chef.
He's a chef.
Of HercuLean Meal Prep. And we also have Nate Canary. He's the bodybuilder of HercuLean Meal Prep, right?
Canary, but yes. Yes.
Oh, see? If you're playing the drinking game at home, we got one right and one wrong.
Oh, God, I love it when I'm
So
right,
he drinks?
Well, gentlemen, welcome to the show. It's not often we have bodybuilders in the building, so tell us about HercuLean Meal Prep.
Sure. So what we do is we make convenient pre-made meals that are made with high protein, with complex carbohydrates, and with lots of vegetables that have a lot of fiber in them.
Okay.
And they're pretty low in fat. And it's loosely based on a diet that Nate used to use to prepare for bodybuilding shows. So it's all about cutting fat without losing any muscle. In fact, most people who are on the diet, especially if you're lifting weights too, are able to gain muscle while they're losing fat. And that's important for your metabolism.
Right.
The pre-made aspect makes it convenient. I used to make all my own meals, and I was on the George Foreman burning rice and chicken and just trying to down it with water and mustard and whatnot. And my brother Ben got involved and
He stepped
chefed
in and
it up.
said, "What are you doing?"
He chefed it up.
Yeah.
He chefed it up. And now they're delicious, and they get the job done.
I'm going to ask a glaring, obvious question. I was asking questions before the show started because my husband is into this kind of thing, and he had questions, and so I wanted to ask
That would
them.
be Mr. Simpson.
That would be
Thank
Mr.
you very much.
Simpson. That's
Mr.
right. Hi,
Simpson.
Ryan. Good to see you again. For those of us who are clueless, though, people like myself, this is a focus on macros. What in tarnation is a macro?
So
And are they good or bad? Or
a macro is kind of short for macronutrients.
okay.
Yeah.
It's basically the proteins, carbs, and fats found in our foods. So you can have wide extremes of, some stuff's very high in sugar, so high carb, very high in fat. And our meals, we try to have a nice balance where it's, high protein, good complex carbs, and low fats.
What is a complex carb?
A complex carb is going to be something found with a little more higher fiber. And we add the vegetables too, so it's digested slower, so it doesn't cause any spikes, in insulin. It really just, it is used for energy instead of storing on your body.
A simple carbohydrate is going to be something like a sugar, right? At the end of the day, in your body, every carbohydrate will be broken down into glucose, which is sugar.
That's
So,
what makes you a
the
fatty
complexity
bobaddy.
of the carb is a complex carb needs to be broken down. It takes a longer time before it turns into sugar. And that's important because when you have a blood sugar spike, that can tend to be stored as fat. Right? So complex carbs, longer digestion. Simple carbs, quick energy, and then a crash, and then it's stored as fat.
Right.
Yeah, and the macronutrients, by the way, are the nutrients in food that add calories. So protein has 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram. Fat is very energy dense, so it has 9 calories per gram.
Oh, wow.
So if you are looking at a food and it has, 10 grams of fat, well, that's 90 calories. And if it only has 10 grams of protein, that's 40 calories. So if you put it on a pie chart and you look at how much of this meal is coming from fat, it's really eye-opening sometimes to put things on paper and look at them like that.
Yep. Now, in the midst of all the different diets that are out there, I mean, we certainly want to deep dive into what this. It's not a diet. This is obviously a lifestyle, correct?
Yeah, it's a meal plan lifestyle.
I mean, there's a lot of other diets that are out. The Atkins is obviously the one that's floating around. There's also the Ideal Protein that has taken a huge a barnstorm around in Indianapolis, let alone the entire Midwest. There is a challenge whenever you're eating on those diets because they are sans fat. They are completely sans sugar. And whenever you're in those diets, you're actually doing some detriment to your muscle mass as well, correct?
Well, when you work out, you are breaking your muscle down and then it repairs itself, right?
Right.
I don't think you're actually causing a detriment to your muscles by the food that you're eating. If anything, I think you're fueling them much better than on like the average American diet.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Is Diet Coke bad for you?
That depends on who you ask. Right? Personally, I don't have a problem with Diet drinks.
I
Some
like
people are
LaCroix.
more.
LaCroix.
Yeah, LaCroix water is
LaCroix.
great.
There you go.
Some
I'm not
people-
that basic, sir.
Yeah. Hey, they come in lots of flavors. now.
Certain people have
It's
certain
really-
sensitivities to various
trending now.
sugar substitutes, right? And going back to what you were talking about with what happens when you pull sugar out of your diet, you know,
You get hangry
how do
and
you
mad.
still have fun? Well, there are a lot of both natural and unnatural substitutes, right? So monk fruit would be a
Monk
natural.
fruit.
There's another one called oligofructose, which is like a chicory root fiber. So you're not actually you're not just pulling out sugar, you're also adding fiber. So I like that one. Stevia is great, but it does have a bit of an aftertaste. So you have some that are like combinations of those to come up with a natural tasting sugar substitute. And we have a bunch of products in our store that use a lot of those. So that's how I've kind of gotten to know them.
Very cool. I mean, and we've been the route of Splenda, and I mean, aspartame is what's in the diet drinks. And
I know it's bad for you,
Oh, those are
but every
bad for
once in a while.
well, I mean,
I think it's
rumor had
bad-
it that it actually put fur on the tongues of the third, fourth generation of rats.
Oh,
so.
I know, and it like
I haven't heard
eats,
those.
it eats
I
rats
had never
alive
heard
and
that
all that.
one.
I've
I
heard.
think some people are more sensitive to it than others.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll continue.
I'll have a DC. I'm not gonna freak out if I have a DC. but-
Okay.
All right. Well, so what was the impetus of starting HercuLean? I mean, I imagine you guys have a unique perspective for Indiana's obesity challenge, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're from Indiana, born and raised. I started bodybuilding competitively when I was 17, so I'm 33 now. And so for years, I'd go back and forth from being, super shredded to trying to bulk and doing it all myself, and it was just madness. And then I got into other things, businesses, and I kind of got away from fitness. So a couple years ago, Ben finished school, moved in with me. I'm like trying to meal prep, and he sees me doing this, and it's not legit, And so he's like, let me help you a little bit. So he jumps in, starts chefing it up, and at first I was like, nah, man, you can't put all that in here. Well, turns out it's just herbs, spices, and different styles of cooking.
Sure.
So we ran with it, and then some of the guys I worked out with were like, what's the secret? I'm like, Ben. And then
Ben is the
so
secret.
then Ben starts cooking full time at my house, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, I'm like, we gotta stop this. This is getting crazy, or we might have something here.
We need to monetize this
so
instead.
we kind of had a meeting about it, and we took off. We started feeding anybody and everybody, and as many as possible, and everybody's getting results, and it's making life easier for a lot of people, and a lot of people a lot happier. And it works, you just heat them up and eat them.
Yep.
So, I mean, you've taken the path of, honestly, kind of an organic, pardon the pun, right? But organic growth here is that you didn't market it and then hope that you had an audience.
We didn't even want this to happen.
It wasn't supposed to be a business.
Yeah.
It was,
was
we
for
were
me
just
and
trying to
Ben.
get
It
it
was an
shape,
accident.
and then people
Yeah.
kept wanting it. So yeah,
That's awesome.
it did really grow organically through word of mouth primarily. And these days, it's like our packaging is really unique, and a lot of people will say they'll keep it at their workplace for lunch, and their coworkers just see it and they're like, "What's that?" And the next thing you know, their coworkers are coming into the store too.
Why didn't you bring us any?
We will bring you some.
Okay.
So it's also just really cool because it's something I'm passionate about. Like I've always been passionate about fitness and nutrition, and it's always just not tasted good. And Ben is a passionate chef, so he's able to do something he's passionate about. So like anytime you're doing your passion, you're happier, Like,
Absolutely.
Well, and nobody, even if you're focused on weight loss or maintaining your shape or whatever the case is, nobody wants to eat anything that doesn't taste good. Like we just don't want. Then it just becomes a chore, and it's just punishment and like
tastes
eating cardboard.
good, convenience.
Yeah,
No dishes.
Oh no,
That's
dude.
another bonus. I'm gonna tell you
I like
that.
that even better.
No dishes is awesome.
I might eat cardboard if I didn't have to clean dishes. That would be great.
No dishes.
I mean, again, I come from a bit of a diet background here. My wife and I have been on Ideal on and off for a while, and there's an entire area of foods, not only supplements. There's an entire food industry if you're going to go the regimented route, and this stuff is pricey. I mean, you can get into major spend whenever you're dealing with controlled portions and controlled. I mean, you're not eating anything else except what that diet is actually
Like
delivering
Weight
to you.
Watchers, is that?
But it's like
Not that
it's like Weight Watchers on steroids, because this stuff you cannot eat anything except what they're actually mail ordering you, and this stuff is like $7 for a bag of chips.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So what happened with us? We were at Williams-Sonoma. It's like a cooking store when we were just starting this as a business.
Right.
And we were talking to a woman who worked there, and she said, "Well, I'm a single mom. Can I afford this?" And we looked at each other, and we were both thinking the exact same thing. We're going to keep this so that a single parent could afford to be on it.
That's fantastic.
And a lot of people are doing exactly the type of prepared meals that we're doing and charging like $5 a meal more than we are. And what we've always said was, we know there's such a need in the community for them that rather than have a huge margin on the meals, we're going to let the margin be smaller, and then we can help more people,
Have
and
more
then
of a
it'll
reach.
work, and it works.
Well, and you think about like college students or just different, different audiences who want access to things like this that cannot necessarily afford
Right.
a $5.50 bag of beef
Oh, it's terrible.
chips or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, in full transparency, we unhooked ourselves from that diet because it is just a gargantuan tax from a finance standpoint, and you do something else that's alternative, right? You try to find that dialing into that particular program, you try to find anything that's going to be a little bit more budget sensitive. And what you're talking about is you led with budget sensitivity to begin with.
Yeah, we keep budget in mind, but then it's also like when you lock it in, which I'm locked in right now, that means you don't go to the grocery.
Nope.
So your time is opening up. You don't
What is
cook.
that like,
Yeah,
not to have to go to
it's
the grocery
crazy.
store?
It's amazing. So you don't go to the grocery. You don't have to cook. You don't have dishes. You don't have to wonder what's on the menu. So your time opening up is something that you don't notice at first, but then all of a sudden you're like, you got more time to do a lot of other stuff, because going to the grocery, cooking, cleaning, thinking about what's for dinner, thinking about what's for lunch, yada, yada, yada. Oh, wow. That's all stuff that is naturally happening that gets removed if you're on a pre-made meal service.
That's the other thing, is that when you get into these diets and actually controlling what you're intaking, you realize, and not to go into a whole other area, is the food industrial complex that surrounds us. My gosh, they have us on this sugar drip. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything is,
and salt.
Oh,
and
God.
fat.
Oh God, it's also good.
Yeah, they lure you in.
I know.
I have a pretty strong theory on this, right? And I think that every restaurant and every food product, right, it's so competitive. And the biggest thing that they compete with each other on is flavor, right? Mm-hmm. And value, so portion size. So what they want to do is, how can I give my consumers the best tasting meal, and then they'll choose me over the competition, right? And the way they do that is sugar, fat, and salt.
Right.
And what they're ignoring is, how do you feel after you leave the restaurant or after you finish the meal? And what do you look like a year later if you're eating that type of food over and over and over? And for us, those are actually the very first two. So I'm writing like a manifesto.
Right.
And the most important thing to me about food is, how does it affect your body over time? So if you eat this meal over and over, after a year, what are you going to look like?
How are you going to feel?
The second most important thing is, in the 0 to 3 hours postprandial, meaning after you eat,
right?
How do you feel?
Huh.
Could you go to the gym after you eat?
Right?
Or are you going to have like a
carb coma
post-Thanksgiving?
We all know it. But the problem is that we've been plugged into the matrix now generations, so we don't know the difference. We don't know that feeling. And literally, as soon as all of the GMO crap got into the system in the late 70s and early 80s, right? We are now being
poisoned.
We're bringing in so much that we don't know the difference. And whenever you shake off that carb coma, I mean, you can feel different. And all of a sudden you're recognizing things in a whole different space. It's really like you're unplugging yourself from the matrix.
You feel fueled after you eat a HercuLean meal.
And when your palate changes too, because
Absolutely.
when you eat mass-prepared meal,
right,
after you've either cooked for yourself for a couple weeks or maybe eaten hour meals for a couple weeks, you go back to maybe your favorite restaurant or whatever, and it tastes way different. It tastes crazy salty and greasy.
Yep.
And that that becomes the new normal. Is
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, it really is, and that's where I think that we've done such a disservice to the children and generations because we have them on this high fructose,
Yeah.
this
Garbage.
and they don't know what real food tastes like. They don't know how to actually even inventory themselves of what they've. I mean, they're on a constant drip, a constant toxification, and as soon as you detox, perfect example is as soon as you detox cleanly, take a 45-day, just push away from sugars, all of a sudden now you try to drink a Coke, you can't.
Yeah.
You literally cannot. Not Diet Coke. I mean, literally, that just tastes like you're taking a big swig of maple syrup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It's true.
That's
very true.
that's the tough thing, and people don't know that there's another side to food.
I'll tell you, a lot. This is the one thing that is true for those that have come in and they do lock it in. You know, they get on our program. In the first week to 10 days, they usually see a 10-pound loss.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just did it again. I've lost 16 pounds in 3 weeks, and I did eat a little for Christmas. I had a little Christmas.
Well,
stuff.
I mean, you have to.
So,
And that's the water weight right there.
It's that water weight from everything you're
From
talking
garbage.
about. Yeah. I mean, call it whatever you want, but it's not quality food. You know, it's excessive, preservatives, things like these that aren't necessary.
Let's call it what it is. It's Soylent Green. We're eating people. We realize that, right?
You know what I'm excited about? Have you heard about the Instant Pot? It's like a pressure cooker thing. So my
I was
mom for
like,
Christmas
what is
got.
she
I know
talking about?
I know it sounds naughty and bad, but it's not. It's like a pressure cooker.
Wasn't that a CNN
thing.
episode here just recently?
Denver.
Oh, you people! But my point is like you can put chicken in it, cook it for 12. It's just water and chicken, and you season it with things that you know what you're putting in it, and then it comes out. It's like amazing.
Yep,
There
yep,
you
yep.
go. There you go.
There's a French name for that, but Instapot is
Instant Pot.
yeah, there we go.
Shout out Instant Pot.
All right. Nice.
Well, you guys have a store.
Yes.
We have a store.
A brand new store, fresh off that store opening. So tell us how things are going and where are you guys located?
Well, we're located on East 82nd Street, 82nd and Dean,
Oh, wow.
kind of by like Drake's, behind,
It's like one light east of the Fashion Mall.
east of the Fashion
That's
Mall.
not a bad place. I'm not
great
there
place.
ever near the
right?
Fashion Mall.
Things are going very well. So it took us a while to open the store. Just the process of getting the permits for it. It was, a lot of work. And then we got it open and we had a lot of media coverage because we're the first store of our kind in Indianapolis.
Sure.
And so we thought we had a lot of food. And then suddenly we were on TV and people came in and we sold out of all of our food, right?
That'll do that.
And
We
yeah,
had
it was
to stop
crazy.
eating them.
Yeah, we
Like,
stopped
oh, you
eating
stopped.
I
them
quit
because we
eating
didn't have
them
enough,
for like
right?
4 months because I'm like, I'm not gonna. If I don't have enough for people that want to buy it, how am I gonna eat it?
So we got more people in the
I was back
kitchen.
to
We
the street.
spent more hours, and we started. Now we're able to produce more than what we're selling, right? Which is a great.
That's a good
feeling
spot to be in.
now. Yeah, and the store is going great. So every time I just got a text, we're out of lean ground beef, but I'll fix that. We'll have it in tomorrow. And we're not running out of food anymore, and people are coming in and they're able to get their meals. I worked on New Year's Day. Gave everyone the day off, but I came in and I worked, and it wasn't the busiest day we've ever had, but everybody who came in, it was their first time coming in.
Really?
And yeah,
good.
I love talking to people when it's their first time coming in. I get to tell them the story of the company. Everybody has a different level of experience that they bring. So some people, they've limited workout history and they've never really tried a diet, and you get to really help them learn through experience, right? And then other people, they're like, well, I'm a personal trainer, but I could really use the extra time, like Nate was saying. So
it can take a lot of time. It's your whole day, 1 day a week cooking if you're prepping.
Yeah, it's
and
exhausting.
you gotta shop like a crazy person, and then by the end of the week, the food is not as good as it started.
Because it's
Totally.
been refrigerated. Yeah, you're totally right.
Another
Stuff
thing,
happens.
We just started offering nationwide shipping.
Whoa.
That happened
Like
right,
meal
right
delivery?
before.
Shipping,
Yeah,
yes,
we're
to your door.
Yep, we FedEx it to you. So anywhere within 300 miles of the store, it is really, really cheap to just get it next day to you.
That is awesome.
What's within a 300-mile radius? Do you know?
Chicago, St. Louis, Louisville, Cincinnati, Kokomo, West Lafayette, Bloomington.
Louisville?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
100%.
Interesting.
That's fantastic.
That was going to
So,
be my next question was, can
Yeah.
people get this delivered? And now they can.
Yeah, you just go to HerculeanMealPrep.com. You go to the shop. You know, you can pick meal plans or you can pick the exact meals that you want. And then at the checkout page, it's just like
Yep, we have it on
shipping
the
or
screen
local
too for
pickup.
people. The link.
excellent. So yeah, check the link out. It's HercuLean, LEAN, mealprep.com for those of you audio listeners out there. This is a great story because it's not a traditional make it before it's actually owned by the market. I mean, you guys have actually created something organic, and the market found you and asked
Yes.
for more of this. And on top of it, it just looks like this is the way business is really supposed to go. You know, is that you grow something that you love, and all of a sudden you're in a space where that passion is infectious, and people are dying for alternatives to the sugar drip that's out there.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe
Especially this time of year.
Oh, God,
like
yes.
everybody's literally dying to like get on the right page.
I know that in my situation, it's impossible for me to be. I'm so busy
Yeah.
that if it wasn't for HercuLean Meal Prep, I would not be able to be in shape. And with HercuLean, I can be in whatever degree shape I want to be. And so right now, I want to be shredded like lettuce. So I'm going to give it another 30, 60 days, and I'll be walking around.
But it's not just for like bodybuilders, right? So like
It
It's
helps
for
you
anybody-
lean.
okay,
It's not like I'm just
okay.
going to get big muscles
Okay.
because of this. You know what I mean?
if I don't want to look like a Ninja Turtle, I don't have to.
No, if you want to look at Ninja Turtle, I don't know exactly what the plan is for
that
that.
would be
but
really, really
we'll
weird,
figure it
though.
out. I'll look into that. But one thing I can promise is that you'll feel better and you will lean out. HercuLean, not Ninja Turtle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
HercuLean. So yeah, for those that want to actually like build and bulk, that's a different program. They got to add some stuff to it and
Right.
exercise differently.
Got it.
This is a clean meal plan.
For anybody.
For anybody. You don't even have to work out. It's not even really necessarily about that. It's about your nutrition.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's eating right, and
Just eating real food.
yeah, for the most part, and not just being saturated with. I mean, again, I'm in that space, but I mean, my God, anything to push away from how we're being sold such high fructose environments. I mean, and this sounds fantastic. So, can you give us any words of wisdom or any motivational thoughts for the viewers and listeners who are trying to get healthy in 2018? Because we just went through, just like every year, we get through the holidays, and not only are we feeling really heavy, but we also are in carb coma, right? But I mean, yeah, we could shake it off, but at the same time, how would you guide somebody into a better way of life?
So I think being that it is right after New Year's Eve or right after New Year's, you have an excuse to make a change. And for me, all that it was one foot in front of the other over and over and over again. And I think consistency is the biggest key. And so if you really want to have one of those transformations that will make all of your friends they can't even believe it, you just come talk to us. We'll help you get on the right track on your food, and just do it over and over again. You can cook the food at home. You can use our meals to help, but stick to it. You know, for me, it took about 10 months, and I lost a lot of fat, and I built a lot of muscle. And on my phone, you know how it can tell like different people by their faces?
Oh, yeah.
I'm in my phone as two people. And,
Nuh-uh.
my
You lost-
before and then my
What did you
after.
lose, 70 pounds? or
Well, I went
something?
from 240 down to 156, but I put
Holy.
on a lot of muscle. So I don't know, because we didn't have our in-body machine, so I didn't know how much
Wow.
was fat and whatnot. But it's just one foot in front of the other. Just do it. And
That was with no cardio, too.
no cardio.
Are you
yeah,
kidding
I,
me?
I lifted weights and I
We
ate this
lifted
food.
weights and we ate strictly HercuLean.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
All
big.
right, I'm
That's
sold.
That's
So
big.
We're gonna have to talk after the show.
I locked it in. That's what I did. So I'm getting my results right now, daily. So that's how I did it.
Right.
But I'm going 100%.
Right,
So
right.
anybody can lock it in at their own level. They're going to get results. But when the results slow down or plateau, they have to take it to the next level. You know,
Yep.
I mean, it's not realistic for me to say, hey, everybody, stop eating everything else and eat 5 meals a day, HercuLean, do exactly what I say, and you're going to be exactly here, righteous right now. I mean, that would happen, but not everybody's going to do that. So I just say take, like Ben said, one foot in front of the other,
Yeah.
make a decision to make a change, and come in. We'll hook you up. We'll get you started. We'll help you. We'll answer any questions you have, and you'll see the results.
Okay,
Excellent.
I'll bring my husband in.
Bring him in.
Okay.
Bring him
He's
in.
skinny as a rail. No.
Don't tell him that. He doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean it, Ryan. He thinks you're buff.
All right,
He's
so
fasting out there now as we speak.
at the same time, we certainly implore people to get off the sugar drip because, I mean, we all recognize that there is space out there that they got to get away from and get some cleaner food. And HercuLean certainly is representing that.
HercuLean drip.
All right, so you can connect to the shop at facebook.com/macros.curated. The website is HercuLeanMealPrep.com, and Instagram is macros.curated as well. We thank you both for being here. It's a great inspiration. Thanks so much for
you. Thank
giving
you.
back to the community as well. You're more than welcome. As an Indiana startup company, we certainly want to reach out and be able to showcase businesses like yourself. So you're doing a great thing. Keep it going. Any thoughts of another shop in the future?
Absolutely. Actually, we're working on production so that the shipping will be able to be bigger and broader.
Yep.
So production's kind of the first thing, and then either another store or just make it super convenient from like an app, you know? So
Cool.
the store is not always the most convenient because convenience is key here. You know, you don't
Yep.
want to cook, you don't want to go to the grocery, but you got to go to the store. We just want you to swipe left. Meals are there. Eat the meals, and then it's over with. You know, then
There it
everybody's
is.
walking around. Indianapolis will be the leanest city in the United States, maybe the
And
world.
I think you mean swipe right. Isn't that the good
So-
one?
Yeah,
Swipe
actually,
whichever-
swipe right.
Yeah.
I don't do any of that swiping. Swipe whatever you want.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, so
Yes,
much. And
thank
we're
you,
certainly
Bob.
going to be cheering you guys from social media and let us know if we can ever help you. All right.
Thank you so much.
More than welcome. More than welcome.